Dave Meltzer shows his bias towards AEW, and we'll tell you why next on the Squared Circle Psychobabble. Welcome to the Squared Circle Psychobabble. My name is Michael Valenti. This is Ralph Valenti for the best conversations in AEW, WWE, NXT, and New Japan Pro Wrestling. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. So, Ralph, people love looking at Dave Meltzer's star ratings when it comes to what matches are so good in professional wrestling. So, Dave Meltzer gave out his star ratings for All Out, and he gave 5.25 stars to the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers ladder match.
Right.
And even said that this, and by saying this, basically, he's saying that this is the greatest ladder match he's ever seen. Now, back in 1994, there was a ladder match that Dave Meltzer awarded the first ever WWE 5-star match. And that was Razor Ramon versus Shawn Michaels.
Right.
And everybody, every wrestling fan who has grown up from the 80s to the 90s to today, compare any ladder match to that one.
Yeah, that was the gold standard of all ladder matches.
So Dave Meltzer is basically saying that the Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers ladder match was better than Razor and Shawn. So I'm going to put a poll above my head right now. Which ladder match was better, Razor and Shawn or the Lucha Brothers and Young Bucks? And comment below why you think that is. So Ralph, I'll ask you the question. Which ladder match was better, Razor and Shawn or Young Bucks and Lucha Brothers?
So you're going to put me on the spot. Now, so I honestly think that Shawn and Razor was the better ladder match. Now, let me tell you why, and let me tell you why people feel like this is such a controversial comment that Dave Meltzer made, and rightfully so. So in professional wrestling, there's all types of different matches, and to start with, I don't even know if that was the best match of the night. We put up our poll, and based on our opinions, we've talked about this. I thought Cody and Shawn Spears was the best match of the night. Dave Meltzer actually doubled down on this, not only saying that and giving the better star rating. Not only did he say this was the best ladder or the better ladder match based on his star ratings in comparison to Razor and Shawn, he actually said that this was the best wrestling match in AEW history. Now, I actually had to, when I was listening to his review, I actually had to rewind it and re-listen because I was like, did he actually just say that? Now, he's certainly entitled to his own opinion. But that is saying a lot when you compare that match to Cody and Dustin.
Right.
To me, Cody and Dustin, the significance of it, the crowd reaction, everything leading up to that, the emotions behind it, the match itself, the in-ring work, the storytelling, that, to me, is the best match in AEW history by far.
Right.
Now, am I shitting on the Young Bucks and Lucha Brothers match, ladder match? Of course not. No, that was a good match, but there's different types of matches in professional wrestling, and there's different ways you can go about portraying whatever you're trying to portray in the ring, just like there's different types of genres in movies.
Right.
So you have comedy, you've got horror, you've got drama, all of this stuff. You've got Western classics, all of that. Now, when you're comparing movies, like if you go to the Oscars, each one of those gets an award in its own category. What's happening now is...
Sort of. So, like, there's best editing, there's best...
Right. There's but then you'll have, like, best comedy, best drama, best this, and you'll have
that's
best
like the
leading
VMAs.
actor.
That's more like the VMAs.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, you very rarely do you get things all lumped together.
Yeah.
You know, now, with professional wrestling, with the star rating, I feel like what he's doing is he's taking all of the matches and lumping them together. Now, if you were going to compare movies, what Dustin and Cody did was more of a drama. And for me, my personal taste in professional wrestling, I like that most, where they're actually going out there and telling a story, while this ladder match was more of like Mad Max Fury Road. It was in your face. It was more, it relied heavily on high spots and all of that stuff.
Action.
And it was a great match, but it also relied very much on those high spots and relied very much on the use of the ladders, which it's a ladder match, so of course they're going to do that. But to me, it just, when you compare it to like what Shawn and Razor did, where it was more of like a build towards the final moments of the match and the storytelling, that's more difficult to me to actually go out there and get the fans invested in the story you're trying to tell than going out there and having a ladder match and doing all types of crazy shit. Now, people are into whatever they want to be into, and it seems like the newer generation is certainly into fast-paced, in-your-face, big high spots, If that's what you're into, that's what you're into.
Right.
Not my personal favorite. I can get into it. I enjoy it. That's very much what NXT does. But for me, I think Razor and Shawn was a better ladder match, and I think Cody and Dustin was definitely the better match in comparison to the ladder match when you talk of AEW, just
Now,
in general.
I'll say this, with the Shawn and Razor ladder match, there's definitely the story told before the match and during the match. And that was, Shawn left with the IC championship. Razor became the new IC champion, but Shawn was never beaten because he left before that happened. So basically we had two champions. Who becomes the champion? Shawn was always saying, "Oh, I'm the IC champion. Razor's the fake one." So how do you determine that? Have both belts up and you grab both belts. And the way they basically were preventing each other from getting the belts, was just great storytelling. And they had the high spots. Everybody obviously has seen the match or the spot where Shawn jumps off the ladder and splashes onto Razor.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of them in that match. And, the last moment where Shawn gets pushed off the ladder and lands on the ropes and gets caught. His fingers or his foot gets caught in the ropes. There's stuff there where spots can happen and tell a story at the same time. And not to be critical on the Young Bucks, but that is their biggest critique that people have on them is, okay, they have spots, but why are they doing these spots? There's no storytelling in their spots.
Yep.
They're just, and they're not the only ones that get this criticism. I've heard people talk about Jeff Hardy this way and the Hardy Boys, or basically any of these high flyers, even the Lucha Brothers. Like, why are they doing these moves? Just other than the fact that people want to pop because he does a Canadian destroyer off a ladder into a table. But why is he doing that?
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yep.
It is hard. I don't think it's as hard to say, well, this match is better than the other. They're two completely different ladder matches.
Right.
If you like storytelling, obviously Shawn and Razor is the better match. If you like just spots and, the demolition derby aspect of wrestling, Bucks and Lucha Brothers are the better match to you. See, the thing with Meltzer and how he rates things, it's like he contradicts himself over and over and over again. And it's hard to really take his star rating seriously because, you have the 4 Okada and Omega matches, and each one were the ones that broke the 5-star Meltzer rating. And it's like, well, I thought it was out of 5 stars. How do you get 6 stars and 6 1/4 and 6.5 and 7 stars?
Mm-hmm.
And out of the 4 matches that they had, it seemed like the star rating went higher and higher and higher. But did the matches get better and better and better? To me, no. I think the first match at Dominion is the best of the 4. The one that went to the time limit draw.
Yep.
That to me is the best of the 4. But the last one was the one that had the best star rating. You look at the star ratings here. He gave Cody and Shawn Spears 4 stars.
Yeah.
And people have been saying that was the best match of the night. That's been the popular vote. Now, some people have said the Bucks and the Lucha Brothers. Some said Pac and Kenny.
one of those two. Most people said that it was either Cody and Spears or it was the ladder match.
Right.
But they're two completely different types of matches.
Right. And I think also he tweeted this out. He tweeted that unless Jericho and Paige have an absolutely great match, like the match of their careers, that ladder match should have been last.
Totally disagree.
That is a terrible opinion. It's his opinion, but it's a terrible one.
He's also been in the wrestling industry for long enough to know why that's not a good idea. This is your big show where you're going to have your first champion ever crowned. Yes. Your heavyweight championship. Now, I understand that one of their main focal points of AEW is going to be the tag team division and building up a great tag team division, but that's your heavyweight championship.
Yes.
That's your most prestigious title, and what Tony Khan said was he wanted to make it the most prestigious title in all of wrestling. Now, how do you convey that message to the fans if you have your tag team ladder match go on last? Everybody knows the main event of the night is
Jericho and Paige.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why when Undertaker's on WrestleMania, while the streak is important, the championship match still, off the top of my head, has always gone on last over the streak matches, as far as I can remember.
The only time it didn't was Shawn Michaels and Taker at 26, because it was Shawn's career versus the streak. That was the only time with the Undertaker on the card.
And there's always going to be different contexts and things of that nature. But when you compare that to now, like I said, All Out being their big show, being their crowning their first champion, you can't have any other match go on last because that's your main event. That's the most important match of the night. Now, did it live up to expectations? It was a good match, but maybe the ladder match was better. Sometimes it happens that way. You see it in sports all the time. You look at the UFC, sometimes the co-main event is better than the main event. Sometimes the opening fight of the night is the best match of the night.
Yeah, we've seen
That's
that.
just how it is.
We've seen that time and time again. Like, we talk about Shawn and Shawn Michaels. Razor and Shawn Michaels, that ladder match. That was at WrestleMania 10. The main event of that card was Yokozuna versus Bret Hart. It was an okay match. Nothing to write home about. Nothing to go, oh my God, you guys have to see this match.
Yeah.
The first match of that night was Bret Hart versus Owen Hart. And that was a classic. Maybe that should have been on last and have that for the championship match. For some reason, Vince McMahon thought otherwise and had Yokozuna be the champion going into that night and have it Bret Hart, redeem himself and beat him after what happened at WrestleMania 9. Can't go wrong with that. And then you have the ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship, which was even, some could even argue that was better than Owen versus Bret.
Right.
Dave Meltzer did not give Owen Hart versus Bret Hart at WrestleMania 10 5 stars.
Yep.
He gave their rematch at SummerSlam, the Steel Cage, 5 stars. That was the second time that's ever happened.
Yeah, but you see, here's a common trend, and you kind of alluded to this. So with all these 5.5, 6-star matches, I mean, what happened? Is all of a sudden the work rate that much better than it was going back in the 90s and 2000s? I mean, certainly people are more athletic, it's better paced, but that's across sports in general. I mean, as time goes on, people just evolve and they get better and they get more athletic and they get better at their craft. But to say, like, if you try to compare, like, this ladder match, the one with the Young Bucks and the Lucha Brothers, to Hogan and Andre. Hogan and Andre is an all-time classic match. Now, can you get, like, a 13-year-old kid to be invested in that match? Maybe not. But for somebody like us who's always watched professional wrestling to see, like, where it started to, like, where we are now in the industry, why are we comparing? And again, I get it. This is a big thing with Dave Meltzer and his star rating. Everybody's opinion is going to change based on the generation you grew up in. We see this in professional sports too. Like, it's a hot topic when people try to compare Michael Jordan to LeBron James,
Right.
Babe Ruth to whoever, Lou Gehrig or Aaron Judge. I mean, you're going to get the older crowd to say, oh, well, back in my day, this and that. And they sound very much like the guy who gets upset when a wiffle ball goes in the yard or whatever, and he gets pissed off. But that's why people dislike Jim Cornette's opinion. Now, is it a popular opinion? Maybe not so much to this new generation of fan. Maybe the newer generation of fan does like this. I mean, we know they like faster paced matches. The big critique on the wrestlers nowadays, not my critique, but from what people say in the industry, is they don't sell. They don't tell stories. Maybe that's just where we are in the industry.
Right.
But to say, like, oh, well, this match was better than that match, wrestling is subjective.
Yes.
It's all to the person to decide what's good to them.
Right. I understand that, but it's so funny that people have taken Dave Meltzer's opinion and try to use it as fact. They like, oh, Dave Meltzer gave this 5 stars, so it has to be a good match. Or Okada versus Omega's 7-star match is the greatest match of all time. And now people are saying that. But it's like, I thought that belonged to Macho Man Randy Savage versus Ricky Steamboat. And that wasn't even 5 stars for Dave Meltzer.
I don't even know what Shawn and Undertaker, their first match at WrestleMania 25 got, but
Neither one of those were
probably
5
not
stars.
better than this. And even Moxley and Ibushi, I'm sorry, Ishii, that was a great match. I wrote that down. Those are all matches that were rated
5 stars.
Yeah, lower than this ladder match. Now, I don't know. It's just tough. I mean,
so like I said in the beginning of the video that Meltzer showed his allegiance or his bias towards AEW. Now, obviously, can you really say that he's showing bias to AEW because he put the Bucks and the Lucha Brothers over, like, Cody and Dustin or Cody and Shawn Spears? But we have seen that there have been better matches in WWE, and it's like he's afraid to give it 5 stars. Like he gives CM Punk versus John Cena 5 stars at Money in the Bank 2011. A lot of people will tell you that match in ring is a shit show.
There's a lot there are a lot of botch spots. Well, a couple of botch spots here and there.
Right, but it's the story that went into it that made it so good, and the moment CM Punk walks away with the WWE Championship, that maybe that's why I gave it 5 stars. But then he didn't give Macho Man and Steamboat 5 stars, any of the Undertaker, Shawn Michaels 5 stars. Countless. There's I can't even think. There's so
Jericho
many,
and Shawn at WrestleMania,
right,
probably not.
There's so many matches that WWE has that could have been 5 stars according to him, but he doesn't do it. But you see the Bucks and the Lucha Brothers, it was a good match, but is it one to go 5 1/4 out of 5? No. And it's like, yeah, I get it. The Young Bucks are a good tag team. The Lucha Brothers are a good tag team. But that match was not 5 1/4 stars. I'll give him his credit. He gave Walter versus Tyler Bate 5 1/4, and that was a great match.
I'm glad you brought that up, but what Walter and Tyler Bate did to go out there and have a classic wrestling match, no weapons, no props, no flips, no dives. What they went out there and did for 40 plus minutes is more impressive to me, especially nowadays, than going out there and being able to have a ladder match where you're relying on high spots and props and all this stuff. I got what I expected to get out of
the Young Bucks.
And like I said, I'm not trying to shit on the match. It was a very good match. I enjoyed it. They're extremely talented, and it was great. But what Tyler Bate and Walter went out there and did, without having props and ladders and all of that stuff that I mentioned, going out there and just having a classic David and Goliath, tale as old as time, the beginning of time, conflict story. That to me is more impressive than going out there and having a ladder match.
Right. I agree.
And to say like, oh, well, these are at the same level. This is a ladder match. It's a fast-paced, in-your-face ladder match. This is a classic wrestling match.
Right.
Like, is there not an appreciation for what they're doing over there?
Mm-hmm.
So why are we comparing this to that? Can't we just have good matches? Like, can't we just be like, you know what? That was fucking good, man.
Yeah.
And then there's always numbers associated with this and that, and then there's people that get pissed off. But
it's funny you say that, because around this time last year, we had a episode where you just said the exact same quote as Lance Storm, and we talked about it.
Oh. Well.
So it's like, why do we put these things into an equation? Can't we just have a good match?
Yeah, it's true.
And we talked about that. And if you never saw that from a year ago, I'll put the eye above my head, but I'll let you know this background's not there. So
yeah. Well, even you look at SmackDown. Gable and Andrade went out there and had a good match.
Yeah.
Now, is that an all-time classic? No, but you know what? They went out there and they had a damn good match.
Well, how about Buddy Murphy versus Roman Reigns?
Yeah. I mean, these guys are going out there and busting their ass to put on the best show for the fans, and now we're pitting matches against each other and all the star ratings and stuff. And
yeah, well, I mean, it is fun to say, well, this match was better than that. It makes fun conversation.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's why people have podcasts like ours. We're here to just have a conversation. You want to disagree with what we say? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
And we'll debate with you. But you get some people out there that are like, oh, you disagree with me, I hate you, and you get.
No, I don't think Dave Meltzer has a bias towards WWE. I think
there are
WWE, against WWE. I certainly think that there are matches that should be rated much higher than they're rated. But I think Dave Meltzer is also very smart to know that right now AEW is very hot, and if he sticks with that, that's the thing that's gonna help him out and make him money at the end of the day. So.
True. All right, let us know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like this all over social media. Share it. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, SCPB Podcast. Subscribe and hit that bell for notifications for the best conversations in AEW, WWE, NXT, and New Japan Pro Wrestling. For Ralph Valenti, my name is Michael Valenti, and thank you for watching the Squared Circle Psychobabble.